If we're not careful, we get this story 100% wrong. It's supposed to shock us, not confirm our attitudes. As the story unfolds, we tend to take an immediate dislike to the Pharisee and rally to the cause of the poor, friendless tax collector. The Pharisee's prayer strikes us as profoundly narcissistic, arrogant, self-righteous, and smug. We would just love to slap him. But not only were Pharisees popular, well-respected religious leaders in Jesus' day, some scholars believe that the prayer Jesus attributes to one of them was not satire or hyperbole, but a prayer a Pharisee of the day might have been expected to use. And if so, it would have been taken as a commendable expression of faith. Setting oneself apart as a pious person was considered something virtuous and something worth thanking God for. And then for his part, the image of the tax collector beating his breast and demanding mercy from God would have been seen as so hypocritical as to be almost funny. Everybody despised tax collectors, not just with the contempt that lots of Americans feel for the IRS, and not just the way we despise career criminals, both blue and white collar, who prey on people who work for a living, but also the way we feel a special kind of righteous anger toward national traitors and terrorists. The people of Jesus' audience offered up a layered cake of hate for tax collectors that has no equivalent in our society. So don't picture a pompous, moralizing fundamentalist and an efficient, clean-cut bureaucrat. Picture a religious leader with broad popular support, like Pope Francis, standing across the way from a merciless monster of a parasite. And picture the looks on the faces in the crowd when Jesus told them the monster was the good God in the eyes of God. I find that hard to accept, and I just said it. We are very fortunate, however, that Jesus went on to explain why God favors the tax collector. All who exalt themselves will be humbled, but all who humble themselves will be exalted. Obviously, Jesus phrased the explanation in a way that would be easy to remember, but we need to explore the idea a bit more to come to terms with what Jesus said. The Pharisee lacks humility for two reasons. Like the unjust judge from last week, he respects neither God nor other people, although the Pharisee makes a better show of his expression. The Pharisee presents his accomplishments to God as if he expects God to be impressed, as if God will nod in agreement that the Pharisee has earned God's love. And the Pharisee's posture is telling. He stands alone, separated from the nation with which God chose to have a uniquely close relationship. Yet, he stands in the temple, the nexus of the connection between God and humanity, as if the Pharisee has no one to thank for his blessings but himself. The tax collector, for his part, cries out in penitence because he knows exactly how deeply connected he is to God and to his neighbor. He knows he has broken God's law and harmed his neighbors. And so he knows God's mercy is his only hope. He may be a bad guy, but at least he's honest about it, and at least he's asking God to change his life. If we're not careful, we may think we are impressing God with our accomplishments. God offers love and mercy to all of us, despite what we have done and left undone, not because of those things. We can accept God's gifts only when we accept that we need them. Humility means reaching beyond ourselves, giving up the illusion of self-sufficiency so that we can receive the precious gifts of God. That's why Jesus sets this parable at the temple. The temple was supposed to help people make this sacrifice, to sacrifice the illusion of self-sufficiency to receive the reality, the fullness, the blessings of God. To help people understand more readily our dependence on the God who called us into being, who gives us all we have, our life, our food, each other. We can perhaps picture the temple, its monumental edifice, clean lines and ornate decoration, looming over the jumble of the city within a clear, flat courtyard, a house of prayer for all peoples. The sight was impressive, but the sound made the picture a place, an experience, because the temple pulsed with the music of worship, with trained voices and instruments praising God day and night. Ordinary worshipers and pilgrims could join the professional musicians making the responses of the formal liturgy, or they could stand far off and offer private prayers to God. Either way, you would be immersed in the sound of worship, the music of praise, and you would come away with a renewed sense of the bonds between God and humanity, the transcendence of God, and the joy of being in relationship with God. We support a wealth of holy music at St. John's for precisely the same reasons. Music elevates, restores, and connects us to God with more power than words alone. Music is our secret weapon against isolation and discouragement, our shield and our balm. And so we sing the hymns of the Eucharist and the canticles of evensong. We sing as a whole, and we form choirs to sing more challenging music on our behalf. We make a joyful noise with organ, piano, and sometimes even drums. We rock this house to glorify God and to heal our souls. If you have any doubt about what I've said about music, talk to someone who went to the choir school evensong on Thursday night. 10 children were standing right here, fully proclaiming God's message, singing God's praises. Hearing them would have warmed even a Pharisee's heart. But our music does more than even these wonderful things. Our music makes our church a place of joy, peace, and refuge in a world that is hungry for these things. Our music makes our church more like heaven on earth, for heaven also rings with the music of constant praise to God. That is why we work so hard to make beautiful music in this place, that our desire to be connected to God may be fulfilled, that our lives may be changed, and our hearts may rejoice in the living God. So give thanks to God for the gift of music, sacred music, offered to the best of our ability, the music of God that resounds in all our souls. Amen.